welcome to the TMZ podcast. I'm Charlie Neff.
I'm Edward Lewis.
Edward, welcome back.
Starting to feel like regular.
I know. Charlie Cotton's shaking in his boots right now.
Just saying. Been a minute.
Edward is one of the top dogs over at our sports department, and he's filling in for Charlie Cotton, who is back Monday, by the way. Sad for you.
No, I'm happy to see him, though.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
We have a lot of topics to go over today. We'll be starting off with Diddy. Prosecutors may interview some new witnesses in this ongoing probe. So it's just piling on and on and on for Diddy. And also the original whistleblower that kind of helped bring out all this info on Diddy, Cassie, she's been spotted. We'll tell you a little bit about that. Bryan, huge country singer. He's apologizing to Taylor Swift after saying Kanye is better than her. And he has an explanation as to why he said it. Justin Timberlake, remember we told you that the body cam footage of his arrest was supposed to come out after the investigation was over. Well, now we're being told it will not be released. And lastly, we'll be going over Lady Gaga's father. He is endorsing Trump shortly after Lady Gaga liked Taylor Swift's post endorsing Kamala. Don't know how Thanksgiving's going to be this year.
All
right. So starting off with Diddy, as you guys know, he has been in federal court. He's been having a couple of appearances ever since he was arrested for sex trafficking, racketeering, and kidnapping. Yesterday, he was denied his second attempt to get bail. And now it looks like even more trouble is coming his way because sources are telling us at least one new person has been subpoenaed to testify in front of a grand jury. We're told others are open to cooperating with federal prosecutors, and at least two new people plan to cooperate with feds' ongoing investigation of Diddy and are willing to testify in front of a grand jury in the coming days. And one of those people is a current sex worker. Obviously, you guys know in the indictment documents that we obtained, it largely talks about these freak-offs that Diddy would have, which allegedly were these kind of professionally done sex parties where Diddy would allegedly film people having sometimes days-long sex. He would be pleasuring himself off to the side. There was drugs allegedly involved. People would even have to take IVs because they were so exhausted after this whole session. And even in those documents, they had alleged that there was sex workers that were being illegally crossed over state lines to participate in these, quote, freak-offs. By the way, 1,000 bottles of lube was also found and confiscated from these freak-off parties. But also, the person that was brave enough to kind of come forward and really trigger the downfall of Diddy was his ex, Cassie, who everyone remembers Cassie. She's so beautiful. She had quite a pop singer career for a bit and famously dated Diddy. She was the one that had initially come out with her experience, which, by the way, he settled with her like a day later, looked very guilty. She was out and about in New York City, which is kind of interesting because we know all of this is happening with Diddy. He's currently in a detention center in Brooklyn, New York. And she lives with her husband and their kids in LA. So you wonder if her being in New York has anything to do with this investigation that's been going on.
Yeah. First and foremost, I think, can you imagine the I guess, regret Diddy has not only over his alleged actions, but over the handling of the Cassie situation, right? Because we were told, or it's been reported, that she had tried to settle with him privately before exposing all this to the public, right?
Right. She had allegedly come to him, or her team did, basically saying, hey, basically pay me X, Y, and
I'll
Z,
stay quiet.
And I'm not going to say anything. And he called her bluff. She came out with those bombshell documents, really just painting a picture of what's been going on, what happened. I mean, she talked about like, oh, he would blow up cars of guys that I was dating. And I mean, obviously she had detailed alleged abuse, which we later saw. I don't think that was alleged, but we saw actual video of Diddy mercifully, is that the right word?
Yeah, mercilessly.
Kicking her, dragging her in a hotel lobby, So she was kind of vindicated. And in our photos of her, she's all smiles. She's at like a restaurant with some friends.
Yeah, I mean, she totally won this one, huh? But
Absolutely.
Diddy looks absolutely screwed here. I don't know there's no other way to put it. I mean, the fact, again, we talked about this on yesterday's podcast that they denied him bail, but the fact that they did it again after he even attempted to sweeten the pot. I mean, he was offering up to $50 million, ankle monitors. He's offering up only to travel to Florida. He's giving them.
He's also offering no more women.
No more women, like
women
literally
visitors.
No contact with women.
Unless they're family or his baby mama.
Right, and they're still like, no, you're that big of a threat to society. We have to keep you here. And then now we're talking more and more people are coming forward, sex workers. I mean, to see, just think
the
about
ultimate takedown.
Maybe 12 months ago, everybody was like, oh, Diddy, he sings Bad Boys, cool song. And now it's like,
it like makes me think. I went to a Halloween party like maybe 3 years ago, and I saw Diddy at the party. It was the Casamigos party.
Was that when he was the Joker freaking out in the streets?
I'm trying to remember what he was. No, it wasn't that year, but he was dressed up in costume. And I remember I was with a girlfriend, my old roommate at the time. She's like, oh my gosh, can you get a photo of Diddy and I together? And I was like, sure. And I snapped one, and she looked at me. She's like, do you want one too? And I'm like, no. Because I didn't want to be like so Hollywood,
Sure.
you know, like, oh my God, photo. Like, you know, being from LA, like you just don't do that.
Sure.
So I said no, but I'm like looking back, I'm like, that's great that I did it. Because you could have easily, imagine if you had like a photo with Harvey Weinstein, you like look back and you're like, ooh.
Yeah.
But even the evening before Diddy was arrested, fans were snapping photos with him.
Remember, he's like smoking a joint with somebody. And,
totally. Even post the Cassie video and knowing what we know before he was taken into custody. Wow. Yeah, I wouldn't ask for a photo there either.
Yeah.
Bryan is apologizing to Taylor Swift for what, Edward? Tell me.
One of my favorite country artists. Really one of my favorite artists, period. I mean, he's phenomenal. I saw him here at I guess Staples Center, crypto.com arena now. He's amazing, but he made a misstep, I guess you could say.
Okay.
The other day, he tweeted on his X account, or I guess posted on his X account, that the Eagles are greater than the Chiefs. Kanye West.
Which he's a huge Eagle fan.
Huge. He's from Philadelphia, always talking about that. Yeah. And then he's tweeted Kanye West greater than Taylor Swift, and he asked for thoughts, basically.
Don't you think that was kind of him? Like, he's obviously trying to diss the Chiefs because he's an Eagles fan. So then he's trying to double diss
their biggest fan.
Right, exactly.
It appeared playful, honestly. Like, and Zach Bryan is like, you know, he's lyrical genius. He's known to like play around with sports teams. He loves his Philadelphia sports. This is kind of what he does. Well, anyways,
I can't imagine the Swifties.
Yeah. Anyways, he obviously got railroaded for it. The Swifties came after him, and he released a pretty lengthy apology. He went on his Instagram and basically just said like he's going through a hard time, and I didn't.
He said he was drunk.
Yeah, well, that's
right.
Yeah, he said he was drunk and he's going through a hard time, and he didn't mean it, and it came off poorly. I think it's what you're talking about. He meant it as more of a diss on Kansas City Chiefs,
right? And
it came off as like Taylor's music sucks, and he made it clear that he loves Taylor, loves her music. He also made it clear that he doesn't co-sign any of Kanye West's, I guess, off the mic stuff. He only was talking about his on the mic stuff. So
I think that's fair, right? I hear so many people being like, Kanye, the old Kanye back in the day, music, fire.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think it's okay to say like, oh, I like so-and-so's music back in the day.
And there was a lot of allegations against Michael Jackson, and people still listen to him and stuff.
They still play Michael Jackson
R. Kelly, Diddy. I mean, you hear all that kind of stuff all the
right.
time. And you can separate the man from the music, or at least a lot of people can. I think Zach, and I don't even think Zach was necessarily saying this stuff. Like, you know what I mean? I think he was just, it's a beef that Taylor and Kanye had, and it was a way to, like you said, rub it in the Chiefs' biggest fan's face.
He must have really got some hate, some heat.
Right.
If he's coming out and apologizing like this.
Right. And I think I read somewhere he had to shut down his social media for a minute.
Oh my
gosh. Or at least step away from it for a minute. So yeah, because it is. This is such a benign comment, and I don't think anybody who's not a Swiftie took it as any more than like, that's silly, like you're rooting on the Eagles. But the Swifties, they must have hammered.
Oh wow, I can only imagine. Well, I don't think we'll get any drunk tweets from him anytime.
But he's great. He's gonna headline.
I don't know if I believe that, by the way.
What?
That he was drinking.
I don't get that. I don't think that.
I think that was just trying to him be like, oh, I'm sorry,
right.
not me,
it's a way to blame
not my thoughts. Like it's an easy way out. Moving on to Justin Timberlake's arrest, the body cam footage will not be released. This is absolutely insane to me. So as you guys know, Justin Timberlake recently kind of copped a deal, didn't have a DWI anymore. He pled guilty last week to driving while ability impaired, which is just a minor traffic offense.
Right.
So he really got that reduced and kind of got off pretty easy. Well, we had put in a public records request for the body cam footage. And originally we were told, and we did this story, that they're basically waiting for the investigation to wrap up before that was released.
Right. That's standard.
Well, yeah, standard.
For most, yeah.
Well, they got back to us now that it's pretty much over and said, oh, no, never mind. This is not being released. It's sealed, which makes you think, what is in this footage?
This is abhorrent. I cannot believe we're talking about this. First of all, the plea deal, we've talked about this multiple times on podcasts, is outrageous. Not necessarily that he got it, but the way he got it in. You know what I mean? Like, he was arrested in June and got this plea deal wrapped up in 6 to 8 to 12 weeks or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
crazy. Most
people that get DWIs have to fight the court system, fight. And when they get the plea deal, it's something that's really bad. You know what I mean? It's bad for them because it's not reduced down to a traffic citation where all you have to do is stand out in front of court and say, don't drink and drive.
Right.
And then, so not only that, but now they won't release footage that I'm sure is embarrassing for Justin. We've heard it multiple times from our reporting that people around Justin would be like, hey, this is JT. And they were,
the people
JT, this is our big guy. You can't arrest him. And who knows what Justin said.
He is.
Who knows?
He apparently said, this is going to ruin the world tour. Everyone wanted to see all that unfold.
Right.
But we were told that Justin's team and the prosecutors mutually agreed to seal the video. So he had a part in this not being released.
So we're talking about, you gave him a plea deal, a sweetheart plea deal that like I said, you didn't have to. Like, it was 6 to 8 weeks you could have forced trial, you could have put pressure on him, you could have made a stronger plea deal. Then you seal the images that make this whole case, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And again, I just
And the officer, think of the officer that, did his job.
How embarrassing for him. Now it looks like he just pulled over JT because he wanted to.
If I was the officer, I would want that footage out and be like, I am not trying to mess up my job here. Like, I did my job. Like, I would want that footage out.
And I'll tell you this, I obviously covered a lot of court cases for sports. This morning, a Browns rookie copped a plea deal in his domestic violence case, and he got a sweetheart deal, really. I mean, he was charged with
a domestic violence
fourth-degree misdemeanor that reduced down to just disorderly conduct, and it was a good deal for him. But I am now able to obtain the 911 audio and the body cam footage from the arrest, and it's going to be embarrassing for him now that they closed the case. And if they had told me, no, he's a celebrity and we're not going to release it, that is abhorrent. I cannot believe that these prosecutors are protecting Timberlake. And for what reason? I mean, your officers said he was drunk. They had accused him of drunk. They had enough evidence to bring it to the DA. The DA had enough evidence to charge him with it, and now you're basically saying, nah, it's fine. And does this happen if he's not Justin Timberlake? If me or you, are they sealing it?
Oh, no. My footage would be out there and be wild.
It's crazy. I can't believe that. So.
All right, moving on to almost news. Lady Gaga's father is endorsing Donald Trump. So Joe Germanotta, he's a New York City restaurateur. He was on Fox News Thursday morning to throw his support behind the former president. And here's what he had to say.
Well, look, they're two vastly different people, okay? One of them is pure, and he's a patriot, all right? And the other, is just going to say whatever she needs to say to get elected, all right? That's basically what I hear, right? And I'm tired of hearing about her neighbor's lawn.
Wow, interesting. Not necessarily surprised that, families would have different views than each other, but it is interesting in the sense that he's kind of doing this interview on the heels of Lady Gaga just liking a post for Kamala. It was Taylor Swift's post where she endorsed her. And we already kind of know where Lady Gaga stands politically. She sang at Biden's inauguration. She was very openly supportive of Biden. She obviously has, views. She's very supportive of the LGBTQ plus community. So that's not a surprise, I guess. But gotta wonder if Thanksgiving is going to be a little weird.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where a lot of people feel this election is super duper important, right? I mean, I think every election is obviously important, but the ones involving Trump, I think, are the most polarizing ones, right? And I think the ones who like Trump want to make sure he gets elected, and the ones who don't like Trump want to make sure he absolutely doesn't get elected. So I think everybody who has a platform, however small it is, whether you're Lady Gaga's relative, you are trying to get that out there, knowing or thinking that these elections matter more than previous ones, right? Because if you have two politicians per se. You know what I mean? Not saying that Trump's not one, but he's not historically one. You know, it makes a difference, right? So at the end of the day, though, like I cannot care less what Lady Gaga's father has to say. And I barely care what Lady Gaga has to say about this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, in general, I think it was Pharrell said, like, celebrities shouldn't voice their political opinions. I think I kind of agree with that to the extent where I worry that there's people out there that just can't do their own research, can't form their own opinions. So they just like, it's like, oh, the whole saying that your grandma or your mom would say, like, oh, if Edward walks off a cliff, are you walking off too? Like, it's kind of the same thing where it's like you don't have a mind for yourself.
Right. And celebrities should understand the importance of their words, that knowing that they can impact an election like that. You know, they can get the lemmings involved. And
the lemmings, yeah.
It's not good.
All right, today in history, these are things that happened this day in the past. Today is International Talk Like a Pirate Day. Arr, Edward.
I was going to say R, too. Do pirates say anything other than R?
Did they say anything else? I am matey. Something like that. No. Okay.
Matey works,
This day in 1928, Mickey Mouse made his first screen appearance in Steamboat Willie.
Right.
That's one where he's like,
yeah.
You know
Big
what I'm
day.
talking about?
Big day,
hey,
yeah.
That was a pretty good whistle.
Yeah, it's better than your pirate impression.
This day in 1970, Diana Ross's song, Ain't No Mountain High, was #1. That's a jam.
River.
Can you think of what? Yeah, Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Ain't
River
no
wide
river.
enough.
Yeah.
No.
Do you know what movie had a very specific
Remember
scene?
the Titans.
No. Did they have it in that movie too? I'm
Football?
thinking of Stepmom. With Julia Roberts.
Stepmom.
Stepmom, is that what it is? Yeah, with Julia Roberts and
I have no idea.
Oh, tell me in the comments what the other lady. Oh, Susan Sarandon. That was a great movie.
Better than Remembering Titans?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm not into football movies.
Wow.
This day in 1983, Wheel of Fortune premiered.
Still going strong.
Yeah, with
Ryan
Seacrest. This day in 2020, WAP.
WAP.
I don't think we could say the full name of the song. Cardi B song with Meg Thee Stallion was #1.
Still great.
2020. What happened these past 4 years? Like the fastest years ever. Birthdays: Jimmy Fallon, Twiggy, the model, Adam West, Trisha Yearwood, and Mario Batali.
Twiggy, that was the squirrel that ride the...
No, Twiggy, the model, Edward.
Okay.
Oh, good Lord. Squirrel?
Yeah, the one that rode the skis. Twiggy. Skis.
Tweety?
Twiggy. Twiggy.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you tomorrow.